Just checking how we're doing. Just seeing. And I think we are good. Great. Welcome back, everybody, to another live. Um, I am Alvin Apps, your friendly local neighborhood engineer. Um, and today, I think we're going to go and react to more vibe coding tutorials for like beginners. Um, giving my impressions. So I think last time we did a lot of Instagram and it was weird. It was like repeating videos as I was scrolling through. So we're gonna try TikTok. And yeah, we're gonna try it out. Um, cool. Everything should be working. And then I had complaints from the back room from my producers. Okay, the audio sounds good. I got complaints from my producers that there was echoing, so the videos were playing through my speakers, getting picked up by my mic, and had that echoing sound. So I have headphones, so my microphone might be um, a little bit tinny. Ooh, I just got an idea. Um, uh, Forgot I do that. Hello. Okay. I was trying to. Well, I guess I'll do it for next time. Trying to mess with the sounds because I don't know if I like the sound of how I sound with these headphones in, but we'll figure it out next time. Okay, so we're gonna go for it. I This is the first time I am using TikTok. I am an engineer that doesn't really like using a lot of apps or technology, especially TikTok. But I am on TikTok. This is my profile. It would be great if people can follow me on TikTok so I could go live. I will be posting clips and stuff soon, so hopefully I can join these folks. Um, you know, Creating content. I'm very new to creating content, so I have 0 followers or everything. So if you can give me a follow here on YouTube or subscribe, hit that bell, all the usual stuff. But also TikTok too. I'm also trying to grow my Facebook and what else? I'm doing Instagram too. But yeah, I never really had social media beforehand, so this is gonna be all brand new. Okay, enough intro. Um, let's just click the first one, see what happens.
This guy is running 6 code agents at once, trying to hit $1 million with his app. Here's exactly what you should do if you want to build a website out as a beginner. Start with Lovable or Bolt.do. Go to their site and
So this is what I recommended before. Lovable, Bolt, Replit, Base 44. There's so many of these tools. They're all websites that help you build websites. Um, and I do specialize in apps, but I think it's always good to get like a website going. Um, and just like test it out and see if people like, just get all the same features and stuff. Unless like you need like features that are on the phone, like Siri or something like that for your app to work. But you could always start with a website. These tools are like way easier than trying to build apps. And I think I'll have like a my own tutorial video on how to get these tools to actually build and ship apps because it's a little bit more involved. But yeah, I already like the first recommendation.
typed in a prompt. Don't just say, make me a website to make me rich. Say minimalistic landing page, Google sign up, 3 features, and a headline. You'll get some
So this is also really good. I think a lot of people complain that these tools are pretty bad, but it's kind of like a paintbrush. Like if you don't have like a specific picture in mind of what you want to build, then it's not going to work. It's just going to make its best guess. Maybe they're good guesses, maybe they're bad guesses, but you want to be as specific as possible. I think his little suggestions were good. But yeah, you want to be as specific, and I think other people mentioned like PRD documents or product requirement documents, which is essentially like blueprints for apps. Like they're really detailed, and they could be many many pages. But just even starting with like what you just mentioned would be great, as opposed to just like a one liner.
Something in like 10 minutes. When you want to get creative with design, use Gemini Canvas. Go to gemini.google.com, click Gemini 2.5, and click Canvas. Someone built a 3D dinosaur world in 5 minutes. You can say, make
That's a new tool. I never heard of this. I have to try it. Definitely get inspiration from other places. We talked about Mobbin also has templates. A lot of these websites just have like landing page templates like built into them, like Lovable. We did a little demo with Lovable where they had a bunch of templates. So yeah, you could just use a template, start there, and then you could always like edit them in the tools and like mess around with the fonts and colors and stuff.
it colorful, add more animations, and it generates it live. Once you're comfortable, then start using Claude Code. This is my favorite and the one that we use to currently build out our app. Run it in terminal and give it a task like add dark mode to my site. Follow for more tech and AI. This
So Cloud Code is super powerful. A lot of people are jumping onto Cloud Code from other tools. I feel like that's just like, Lovable is like 101 and Cloud Code is like 201. Like it's a little bit more involved, especially like using terminal. I don't think, especially if you're not tech savvy, like you know how to use like computers that well, like, you know, terminal is like a lot. It's not super heavy, but it was like built for like nerds in the 80s. So it's like there's not a lot of conveniences that we have right now in terms of like having like buttons and stuff. Like it's all text and short commands. So I would use start with Claude Code. They have like a desktop app. Try that first and see if it does what you can. But definitely Claude Code and the terminal is where people start doing crazy stuff. But it's not bad. I give this a solid 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. Okay. This girl's popping up a lot. She has like 4 videos. How to build an app. This seems super
So in this
ethical.
video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step guide on how to build your own app if you have no experience. First, we're going to come up with an app idea, and we're trying to do this the easiest way possible. So we're going to go into ChatGPT, and we're going to ask it to brainstorm app ideas for us. Once you find one that you like, you're going to ask it to give you the MVP format for that app idea. Then you're going to go to this website right here, createanything.com, and you're going to paste in that MVP format.
Hopefully you have your own app idea, but if you know, ChatGPT will probably give you a lot of mediocre app ideas. Like, like anybody can just go on ChatGPT and think of app ideas. I feel like if you have like a very strong brand and ChatGPT gives you an idea for a to-do list, like app or note-taking app, and like you could really sell that as like, okay, well, this is unique because it's my brand, then maybe, but ideally you have like a business or maybe and you need an app for that, or maybe you see some problem in your community or in your life that might be applicable to others. Like you want to like really think about like the people that will use it, and not only use it but like will pay for your app. Like either it's like a subscription or you just get paid straight up, like like. But yeah. Um, but yeah, you could definitely use ChatGPT to brainstorm. I've never heard the create anything website. Uh, I'm curious on like what this would be. Like a lot of the tools like Lovable and stuff, they say they can make apps, but really they're essentially like websites, but with an app shell around it. Like you'll download it and you'll open it up and it's just like a web browser. So that's what I like when I try to use tools like this in the past, but I don't know, maybe this is different.
that ChatGPT gave you. It'll start automatically generating it for you, and then 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to get a brief overview of that app and the features it has, and you'll be able to test it straight on your phone. So test it on your phone, make sure everything looks good, and then we're going to come up with an app logo. So for this, I like to use Canva, and then I just type in app logo template, and then I kind of just scroll until I see one that I like that matches the vibe of my app, and then you start designing that. After you're done, you're going to go back to create anything, and you're going to publish it to the App Store. And that's basically the most straightforward guide that I can give you for making your own app. It is simply that easy. Everything you need to know is in this video, but if you have any questions, just let me know. And if you want a more in-depth guide, comment guide, and I'll DM you. So in this video,
Um, that's crazy if it can publish straight to the App Store and you literally don't have to go through any of Apple's setup. It kind of seems hard to believe. Um, I'll put that in my to-do list to look at that next time. I do want to look at more videos, but I think that's a little far-fetched. Um, Especially because in order to just even upload to the App Store, like you have to set up a developer account with Apple and pay like a yearly subscription. So I'm assuming like you already have that set up and you connected it to this. Um, but yeah, that's like even before you do anything. So unless there's like a way, maybe while you're setting up account with this that, you set it, you do a setup with them. So I give this, I give this a 5. I mean, mainly because looking up an app idea on ChatGPT, unless like if you're really trying to make money, I think it's getting a really good idea. Um, I think there's like a little bit more back and forth, a little bit more originality that you'll need, especially now when anyone can use ChatGPT to come up with an app idea and I guess use this tool to build it. Mm. There's going to be more and more competition. Um. Okay, let's just do the next one.
This is how you get started with vibe coding if you're a total beginner. You want to plan before you actually go in the vibe coding
10 out of 10. Plan.
tool. So go to something like ChatGPT, Google Gemini, or Anthropic's Claude. Talk to them about what you're looking to build with the vibe coded app, and then have it build you a plan. But first, make sure it asks
Yep, 100%.
you questions so it understands fully what you're trying to build with the vibe coded app. This is how you get started with vibe coding if you're a total beginner. You want to plan before you actually go.
Oh, that's the whole video. I mean, there's nothing wrong that he said. Um, yeah, planning is like way more important than executing. Um, and going from like a really like what your idea is, and that's kind of like what's lacking from um that last video is like okay, you come up with an idea, you have like your MVP, um, but you kind of want a plan of like execution, like okay, what technologies you'll need. Maybe that's like kind of like bundled in with just getting the MVP, but you really want to be specific on like what you want. Um, so then when you get to the execution phase, you're not really surprised. Um, I give this an 8. Like, I mean, plan before you execute. That's like good. I wish he went a little bit more into um like what the next steps are, but I mean, it's a good place to start. Like the message. I think I've seen this lady before. Uh, let's start. Let's start
If
with this
you
one.
are a beginner in the vibe coding space and you're scared to get started because you think you have to know a bunch about coding or programming, trust me, you don't. And here are the 5 basic fundamentals that I would learn as a beginner vibe coder to get started with your first project. First thing that you should be doing is planning out your projects with an AI model. Do it with ChatGPT, Claude, your AI model of choice, it doesn't matter. Plan out your project and ask it to create a prompt to give to your AI agent and ask it to create a rough draft first. Okay, you don't need to start implementing all of the fancy features. Just tell it to do a rough draft at first and plan it out. Now, once you have that prompt that it gave you, you are going to put that into the AI agent and run it, and it's going to create a bunch of folders and files for this new project. Once it does that, ask it to explain what each one of those folders and files does. What is its purpose? Get a better understanding of.
That is especially true, especially if you don't know anything about coding. You don't necessarily need to know how to write code to like start building websites and apps, but you do need to understand it and like it's kind of like learning like a new language. Like you don't want to like go to another country and not know like any of the words, or like at least know like how to ask where the bathroom is. And this is kind of like the same thing with coding. Like you want to uh I think this is like a really good one, like a really good tip, and that one that I've seen out of a lot of other people is trying to understand the plan and understand the code. Once you generate the plan, which is great, you start executing and start setting up like your structure. But like, you could ask these AIs to explain what it is. Even if you could, people have used like Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, like all these random tools to essentially be AI tutors. So you could say like, hey, like I am a non-tech savvy, don't know anything about coding or anything like that. I'm just a business owner. Explain this plan as if I'm five. And then it could run down and teach you, and it can teach you like what a front end is, what is a back end, um, various things like that. And you could, yeah, just go back and forth with it and ask. And I think people forget that it's a two-way conversation. It's not just like, oh, hey, do a thing, and then it just goes off and does it. Like you can have like an interaction with it. So I really like the second one. That's a one I haven't heard.
The structure of your project. Okay, we don't need to be experts at coding or programming, but if we have an understanding of the structure and how it's organized, we can create a better project overall. Number 3 is understand what GitHub is. Okay, GitHub, basically Google Drive, but for projects like this to upload your code base, have everything stored there, and it really is something that just makes it a lot easier to organize your project. So what I would do is just watch a quick tutorial on YouTube on how to set up GitHub with your project. They'll tell you everything that you need to know. Just get a basic understanding of that. Number 4,
So that's really good. You do want to have. It's essentially like, yeah, it is Google Drive, but for code. Um, Especially if, like, let's say you want to just like build like the prototype or something like that, and then save it on GitHub, and then maybe have another engineer look at it. Um, or even if you just don't want to build it with AI, and you just want like an engineer to do it or uh, another company to do it, you still want to know what GitHub is and how it works, and especially the permissions because you want access to your code. I've heard like some people get burned because like they don't understand GitHub or like how do you know how do you get a version of your code. So you want to learn like the basics of GitHub. But especially like starting out, like you don't really need to. You could just have everything on your computer and then just store it there. But eventually, like any semi-professional like project, like you would want to use GitHub, especially if you want other people to work on it. That's how we like share code.
learn how to create authentication in a database for your project. Okay, you can do this by going to the agent and just saying, hey, walk me through step by step on what I have to do to create authentication in a database for the project. Okay, if you want users to sign in, sign up, whatever, that's going to be authentication. If you want users to have their data saved within the app, whatever they're doing, that's database. Also, remember, security is important. Ask the agent how to keep everything secure. Okay, it's going to ask you to have API keys. You don't want those shared with the public, so put it under .git ignore. If you don't know how to do that, just look into it, ask the AI agent, they will set you up. Now that you've gone through all.
So that's really good. There's again, like you can go back and forth with the agent to explain what auth is, but I think, and then what a database is for. I think he explained it pretty well. There's probably other things that you would most likely need um, for an app, depending on what it is. Most apps, like you're gonna want people to log in and save their data to a particular place. So then if they delete the app and then, decide to download and log in again, they don't lose all of their stuff. So that would get stored on some server in some database. And there's probably a bunch of other things, and you just have to really look at your plan. Um, Security is really important. Yeah, you don't want people um, able to, because like people can like take your app and like kind of take it apart and figure and try to reverse engineer the code. And if you have, essentially the keys to your database stored in the app, then people can use that and get people's data. You heard of the T app. It was like a place where people can review dates or men that women can go. So women can go and anonymously. It's kind of like Yik Yak. It's like you can anonymously talk about men, and essentially it's like Google reviews for men. And that got hacked, I think, through like a similar security issue, and everyone's pictures and stuff got leaked from the database. Um, so security is super important. I think two other things to make sure you go back and forth with your agent on, or even just like if you have an engineer or some company builds your app, is one is privacy. um like what data are you storing from people, like people's names, people's birthdays, stuff like that, because all these platforms are gonna have rules around that. And then different states and stuff, like California has their stuff, especially if your app, most apps are like international. So Europe has like specific privacy standards, so you want to you know ask whoever is building your app, like making sure that it's compliant with like all these laws. And there's a lot. And the other thing is scalability, which is what happens when uh when like a bunch of people start using your app, especially like all at once. If you have a business that already has a bunch of customers, or you have a brand and that, maybe you have a lot of followers, and you say, hey, I have this app, and a bunch of people sign up, and we talked about logging in. If everyone's trying to log in at once, your app could crash, like, or the server that's like doing these requests, that could crash. So you want to make sure, if it's like a brand new app, and like you don't really have like a lot of marketing going behind it, you might not have to worry about it. But you do want to think about it if you expect to have a lot of people use it soon. And again, you would go back and forth with the agent, be like, hey, is this scalable? That's like the key word. What happens when a bunch of users try to log in at once? Make sure this is, robust enough to handle all of that. Um, so yeah, I think that was good. I think that was a good fourth tip.
Those steps, you now have a rough draft of a project, you have authentication, you have a database for it, and now is the point where you get to really have fun with it. Okay, you get to create a better user interface for it, you get to implement new features and really edit whatever you want. Just along the way, ask as many questions as humanly possible. Okay, we don't have to be experts at coding or programming, but ask as many questions as possible to get an understanding of what it's doing, how it's structuring things out. So that is my 5 things as a little starter pack. Okay, number 1, plan out your projects first. Number 2, ask it to explain all of the stuff in your project, all of the folders, all the files, get a better understanding of the structure. Number 3, understand what GitHub is, how to implement it into your project. And 4, learn how to create authentication in a database, and then have fun. If you are a beginner in the vibe.
So I think that was pretty good. I give that overall a 9. Is way more fleshed out than the other ones. Um, I think for beginners, like I think the only thing is, I don't think people really need to worry about GitHub as a beginner. There's already like so much stuff that you have to learn. But yeah, definitely keep asking questions. There's just a lot to learn. Nothing scary, but like again, you just have to take it a step at a time. And you don't really have to worry about, especially if you're using an AI tool, you're building it yourself. Um, you don't have to really worry about like, like security and stuff. Like especially, just really focus on learning. Um, but the only thing is sometimes it's hard to know what questions to ask. Like, like maybe without watching this video or this live, you wouldn't think about scalability or something like that. But yeah, that's why it's like always good to like find an engineer or someone, and talk to them about it. Um, but yeah, pretty good video. Pretty good video. I'm really happy with that one. Um, Vibe coding 101 for the girlies. Let's see what the girlies are talking about.
Girls don't gatekeep vibe coding. This is going to be part one of how to get started with Claude Code for the girlies. This is not for anybody who is an engineer or super technical. This is for your average woman who is interested in learning the new technologies that are coming out but doesn't really know that much about how to use them. I'm just going to be sharing what I'm learning. I'm a marketing girly by day, so if I can do it, you can do it. Everybody should know these tools. They're going to be so important in the next like 10 years plus. It's actually not nearly as difficult or intimidating as it's made out to be. I'm going to show you everything to get you started. If you haven't met me before, I'm Riley. I share educational videos about AI for women, use cases that are for the girlies based on, stuff that's happening in our lives that it's going to be most relevant for. Assuming that you're still watching this because you're like me and you're not an engineer, what you're going to do first is download Claude AI. It knows everything about how to use Claude Code for you, so it's going to be your personal assistant. Go to claude.ai and load it up on the web, and then you can also download it for Mac if you want. It's basically been my guide to getting set up and getting started because I can ask it everything. If I don't understand it, I can send it a screenshot of the Claude Code and ask what's going on. It's so helpful. It's like having your own software engineering assistant. We're going to start a chat with Claude AI, and I like to start out with a prompt that basically shares where you're at skill level wise and any ideas that you have on what you're looking to build. You might say, I'm looking to get started with Claude Code. I'm not an engineer. I don't have any software development background. That way it knows not to talk to you like you already understand these concepts, but more at a beginner level. If you have an idea of what you're looking to build, you could drop it there, but you could also say that I don't really know what I can use it for. I just want to learn, so maybe help suggest a project that I could start on. This is basically going to set up your working assistant to get you started with Claude Code. Next up, we're going to ask how you actually get Claude Code downloaded and running, because as a non-tech person, it's a little intimidating, but that'll be in part two, so come back for the next one and make sure you follow for more. Bye.
Um, I didn't really think about this. It's you can just download Claude, because there's a difference between Claude and Claude Code. It's very confusing. Claude is like ChatGPT and Gemini. Like you could just ask it to do stuff, do research, just like any other tool. Claude Code is a separate thing. And I think we talked about this, I think in the first live. Like there's Claude Code, that knows how to code and can like actually build apps, and websites. Um, and I didn't know this, but um, you have to pay for Claude Code. I think it's like $20 a month or something like that for like the basic one. You could use Claude for free. You could just use it like you would use ChatGPT. Just open it up on the web, or yeah, you can download the Mac app. You actually have to pay for Claude Code. So if you know, and so yeah, I didn't know that. But yeah, you can use Claude to tell you how to use and set up Claude Code. Um, because I think they do have, you could use like a Mac app as well, but a lot of people use this thing called Terminal, which is just like a text based like way of using, um uh Claude Code. But yeah, you could. I mean, there's nothing stopping you. You could use ChatGPT because ChatGPT knows how to use, like, understands what Claude Code is. So you don't have to necessarily use Claude to help you set up Claude Code. But yeah, you could just talk to any of these agents like they're your person. And I think a really good tip is you know making sure it understands like these agents, like these AI tools understand your like where you're at so they know how to explain it to you. Just like a person, like right, like if I know like this girl's like a marketing person, like if I know you're a marketing person, I'm not gonna use random jargon um like terminal and compile and I don't know, like random terms. Like I'm gonna use like English words to describe things to you. So yeah, agents will can do the exact same thing. So if you ever get lost, just open up your favorite, AI tool, whether it's like maybe you're already used to using ChatGPT, just ask ChatGPT, hey, I'm running into this issue. Um, yeah, I mean, I think this was good. She didn't really talk about like actually, but I mean, I know it's a part one, so I'm gonna give this like an 8 or 9. I'm gonna give this an 8 or 9. Um, I think these are and they're useful for men too. It's like anyone who's like not technically, they know all like the little jargon and stuff or like, know anything about engineering. Um, picking. There's a lot more videos in this one. There's a lot more videos in this one. Um, let's see if there's like a super popular one. Okay, 24K. Let's do this.
This is everything I vibe coded and how long it took me. First up, an AI yearbook app. My very first time hooking up an API. This took me 19 hours and 513 prompts.
An API is, I think I relearned this a couple days ago. Application programming interface. So it's how, um, it's like essentially a contract between two pieces of software on how to talk to each other. So it's like a protocol. It's like so that way your app can talk to, um, or she probably got some, I don't know, database for her yearbook to talk to her app or something like that. Which most apps are going to use APIs. So that's like another technical term that you would want to talk to, your AI, favorite AI agent, ChatGPT, Claude, whoever, about like what an API is, because that's like really important if you want to build an app that's any type of interesting, like a AI, like a yearbook app. That's which is pretty cute.
A photo booth app I made for Valentine's Day. This took me 9 hours, 287 prompts. I hate it when people call me, so I made a runaway button. This took just 20 minutes and 4 prompts. Thai lesson app. This took me 5 hours, 140 prompts. This is everything I vibe coded.
That's cute. I mean, it's. I wonder what her background is. Um, because I don't know. Those are a lot of cute little projects, and it's all like things to help her. She wasn't trying to like make $1 million or something. These are just like cute things that uh, to help her around her life. This wasn't a tutorial, so I don't. I feel bad giving it a grade, but I really liked it. I really enjoyed that. I think those are a lot of cool ideas. Um, yeah. Mm. Um, let's see. This one has 75. Oh, this one has 15K. Let's try this one.
I built this website as someone without coding experience in less than 2
Hey,
days.
wait a second. This
I
one?
built this website as
Okay.
someone without coding experience in less than 2 days using these free tools. And I want to show you how you can do it too. This is the Vibe Coding for Non-Technical Beginners series part 1. Don't worry, zero coding experience is required. All you need is an idea that you're excited about and a computer. As a newly licensed real estate agent, one of the hardest things is finding clients. That's why I built this website. It's currently a fancy intake form that populates this spreadsheet. But before we dive in, let's get you set up. I'll pause here for just a second before we continue.
Okay. So you need a GitHub account, which we talked about. It's like Google Drive for code. They have a desktop app. Um, create a ChatGPT account. Hopefully everyone knows what that is. It's like one of the most, like, I think the first super popular AI chatbots or whatever. Create a Vercel account. Vercel is another company. They have like an AI. They have like AI tools for like building websites. So we'll see how she uses that. Download VS Code. That is essentially um, like a code editor. So think like Microsoft Word, but for code. Google Docs, Microsoft Word. Like it's like a way to edit code. That's I wonder what we're going to use that for because that's like a very code heavy. Like you're actually going to see code, which might or might not scare people. And Codex extension in VS Code. Codex. So we talked about how there's a difference between Claude, like the ChatGPT, like help me organize like my class notes or something like that. There's Claude, and then there's Claude Code, which actually can help you build apps and websites. ChatGPT has a similar thing where ChatGPT, like everyone's familiar with, you just ask it, "Hey, I'm sick. Here's my symptoms," and you could, I wouldn't suggest it, but it could, give you an answer. Codex is their Claude Code, so Codex is what OpenAI, which is the company that made ChatGPT, it's their uh thing, their tool for creating code. And you could use it as like a plugin in this code editor. This seems like really involved, especially for a beginner. She is a real estate agent, but she's also young, so she's probably pretty tech savvy and has patience to like figure all this stuff out. Um, so yeah, so I don't know. I wouldn't recommend this as like a first time setup with someone. I would rather I mean, we'll see what she builds. She says she's gonna build something that, will fill a spreadsheet for her. I would just I would just use Lovable or something like that. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see where she goes.
The first thing you need is a GitHub account. This is where all of your code lives. For example, this is what it looks like when you deploy new code. Next, I really like using GitHub Desktop. It organizes all of the changes that I've made so I can review them. Next, create a ChatGPT account if you don't have one already. I use it a lot, so I pay $20 a month for it. Next, Vercel is the most beginner-friendly way to get your app live. It takes your code, builds it, and then ships it to the web. Here's an example deployment page. Last but not least is VS Code. This is your code editor that you can also use Codex within. Then you'll need to get Codex set up within VS Code. It's pretty straightforward. You sign in and then you go into VS Code to add the extension. Then you can chat with it and it will do the coding for you. But please make sure that you always test your changes before you ship them. That's it for now. Stay tuned for part 2. I built this website.
So this is a little bit more involved, especially for what she's building. Um, you could probably just get away. And again, I haven't used all these AI tools, but you could probably just get away with using Lovable or Bolt or something like that to build what she built without having to download a bunch of stuff. And um, she's mentioned like reviewing code. I feel like that is like a 201, master's degree, not like literally a master's degree, but like learning how to look at code and actually reviewing the changes. That's why like using GitHub is kind of pointless. Like you you won't if you already know how to review code, then you're probably way beyond a beginner. Um, So I think this is, I'm not saying this is a bad setup, but for beginners, I don't know. Depends how beginner is beginner. Especially she said this is like non-technical. This is like a pretty technical setup. Like this is like something like maybe maybe if you are working with another engineer, but you still want to like put up code, like maybe this is like a setup where, because the engineer would want to use GitHub. So could be like your setup, and maybe you're doing a similar setup to what they're using. Maybe they're using VS Code. I don't know. I give this, it's hard because it's not a bad setup, but for beginners, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend this. I wouldn't recommend this. I don't know what that would mean on the scale. I feel bad giving bad ratings. Um, I'd give it like a 4 or 5. Um, she definitely, I mean, from what it looks like, it definitely looks like she built something pretty cool. But um, yeah, I wouldn't recommend this for beginners. Just use Lovable to begin with and learn like the terms before you even download any like VS Code and learn like all these other tools. Stick with one tool, learn the terms, and learn like the kind of the landscape before you start getting more deeper into stuff. Yeah, beginner is relative. Yeah, for sure. Beginner is definitely relative. Hey, listen. Sometimes I talk to some engineers, man, and I feel like I'm still a beginner. There's levels. There's levels to it. Is what people say. There's levels to it. Okay, okay. What was? Okay, that was the one we just watched. Vibe coding rules. Maybe this is not a tutorial, but I'm interested to hear what the vibe coding rules are. What are the vibe coding rules?
How to vibe code for beginners in 60 seconds. First, we have to talk about the concept of vibe coding. The basic idea is that you're not actually coding, you're letting the AI do it for you. Then we have its most useful applications, which is going to be websites and mobile applications. Of course, we have to talk about how to get started. I recommend these 3 tools to get started with vibe coding. Number 1, which is pretty controversial, is Lovable. It's really good at front-end applications, so anytime you want to build a website, you want to go to Lovable, type in whatever you want to build, and then it's going to build it for you. Next one is Bolt.new. This is most commonly used for mobile applications. Last but not least, we have an either-or option. You can use either one of these and it's going to do the same thing, either Cursor or Windsurf. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to start with Lovable or Bolt.new to start the program off, and then eventually you want to move it to Cursor or Windsurf so that you can continue to iterate on it. And if you're thinking of how do I save my changes, I'm going to get to that next. Now, before we get started, the absolute first thing you have to do is create a GitHub account. This essentially is going to store all of the code that you're going to be generating through AI. This is going to be your version control so that you can always know exactly where you were and when you push changes to your code base. Lucky for you, I've documented the entire process so that it's really easy for you to follow along. If you're interested, just comment vibes and I'll send it to you. I'm trying desperately to keep gatekeeping in 2025. How to vibe code for beginners in 60 seconds. First, we have to talk about the
Um, so I never one complaint I have, one complaint with these tools, I think they are biased towards websites as opposed to apps. We saw that like create anything that automatically uploads to the app store. That's kind of like the hard part with app building with like websites. Websites is like the wild, wild west. Um, I'll answer that question in a second, but that's a good question. Um, Websites is the wild, wild west. You can build it however you want, and you buy a domain, um, which is essentially like the address, like the street address of your website. You buy a domain, you build whatever you want, you publish to that domain, and then everyone can use it. And you can build it however you want. There's really like no rules. With apps, it's a lot more locked down. Like you have to create an account with either Google or Apple, and then you have to pay, and then there's rules on how you have to build it. You have to build with their tools, and you have to submit your app to get reviewed by either Google or Apple, and then you have to get approved, and then you can publish. And then there's stipulations afterwards, right? So a lot of these tools that I've seen is really geared towards websites. Like there's certain things where you have to use their tools, and a lot of these places, like they don't have, you have to download the tools and use them on your computer. So I it's hard for like these tools to like build apps when you have to like um yeah, you have to use the tools that the platforms tell you to use. But I think it's good, like, starting from Lovable or Bolt. I have to look at Bolt. Maybe one day we'll look at Bolt. I never understood Bolt as to I thought it was like another place to make websites. I don't know if they can actually make mobile apps. So that's like something we could explore. So we learned like two new tools. Um, Cursor and Windsurf, we kind of talked about code editors. Those are also code editors, but they're like built with AI agents. So think of like, Microsoft Word or Google Docs, but like it's built with some AI agent to help you write whatever you're writing. Is the same thing with code. Again, like for a beginner, I wouldn't really worry about using those tools. As a beginner, like you're starting from zero. Um, I would stick with Lovable and Bolt. But there are common tools that a lot of people use. There's Cursor, which is, again, like you can edit like code directly and like you'd be looking at code, and the same thing with Windsurf. Um, uh, he mentioned again, like using GitHub. Again, like unless you are, um, you can use Lovable or any of these tools to store your code instead of store your code with them and publish it. Um, I don't think you'll need GitHub and add more stuff that you have to learn. Um, but it is the most common way, again, on how to share your code with others and store your code. So I don't know. I give this a 7. I give this a 7. Um, we did have a question. Um, how many of these tools are wrappers around ChatGPT or Claude? Um, I am not sure, but you can look it up. Um, Sometimes they have their own, because the whole thing is about models. Um, the whole thing is about models, right? Like ChatGPT is its own model, Claude is its own model, Gemini is its own model. Sometimes these tools will take Claude. Um, I was looking at Descript for AI clip editing because I'm really bad at editing clips. And that seems just to be like a wrapper. And when I say wrapper, is essentially um uh it's like built on top of. So a lot some of these tools are like built on top of, you know, somebody else's AI tool, and then maybe they just add like maybe um some extra features on top, but at the end of it is just, maybe Claude or something like that. Um, but you could like probably Google this is Lovable a rapper, and it just comes up. Um uh don't turn it. So yeah, they and you could look up different websites and look it up and see what people say. Um So some of these are rappers. So sometimes like all that they would do, like how in ChatGPT you give it a prompt to do something. With a lot of these other tools, and I guess with some research we can figure it out. But I would just look it up. With some of these tools, like you'll give it a prompt and then they'll attach another prompt, like kind of at the bottom or at the top or something, and then give it to, ChatGPT to come out with some output, and maybe they take that output and they do something with it. So, with this AI clipping tool, the script, like, we'll say like, hey, I want to cut out all the ums from my live and, edit my video. Um, it'll take that, maybe change out the words or add stuff around it, give it to ChatGPT. It might output some timestamps of when I say and and maybe they feed that into some video editing tool, and then they update their stuff. So a lot of times, like then it becomes then the question comes up is like, well, why am I paying for this tool? It's like, I mean, you could just build it yourself, and I'm kind of thinking of doing that because these tools are expensive for like these AI clipping. Is like, man, like they work all right, but like not hundreds of dollars are all right. But you could just build your own thing. You could just build your own thing. It'll just take time. And you kind of need to know what you're building. Um, so I don't know. I don't have the full catalog of which ones are rappers or not. I have to go down my deep dive of Bolt and Replit and everything else. But I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them are just wrappers around other things. And I think a lot of startups are just, they're just doing that. Is just, oh, let's take ChatGPT, but make it more geared towards like real estate agents, like what we saw um with that one girl, or like lawyers or something like that. I think people do. There are chat GPTs like to get legal advice. There are chat GPTs that people build to do medical stuff, like medical advice, which is kind of scary. Um, but yeah, I don't know which ones, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's like most of them. Um, okay, let's see. I'm not gonna give that one a rating because it was like more. Well, I'll give it a rating because it was like a setup. I don't know. I give it like a seven, like a seven, 6, 7. Some of it was good for beginners, or maybe like a 5 or something like that. I think a lot of it is not like geared towards beginners and beginners. Um, I was trying not to say 6, 7, but I got caught up. Got caught up. Um, let's see. This one says best vibe coding tech stack. I feel like if you're using the word tech stack, it's not for beginners. It's kind of like an oxymoron. Um, tech stack is just the technologies you're using to build stuff. To like, but we're gonna skip that one. Um, how to vibe code with no coding experience. I think this will be the last one, and then we'll wrap it up.
If you want free AI, check this out. First, go to openrouter.ai, then go to models. Click. Check this
Is
out.
this the same?
Healer Alpha.
Am I tripping?
If you want free AI, check this
This
out.
video does not go because this girl is I am raw one,
If
and
you
this
want free
is
AI, check
what is
this
going
out.
on? All these videos are wrong. Huh? It's 3 videos to the right. Oh, that's so weird. It's offset. How do you fix that? How long has it been doing that? How come I just wait? So if I do this one,
Everyone's talking about
no,
vibe coding.
it's 3 the other way.
So if you're trying to get into vibe coding, the two tools that I would suggest.
Wait. I see. Is this guy? Okay. Okay. So then it would be this one.
I just taught myself how to
Oh
vibe code
wow.
and built a whole app in 10 minutes. So I went to Lovable and basically said, build an app where I can paste a job description, simulate an interview, and get real-time feedback on my answers. And it was literally that easy for Lovable to take.
So already off the jump, this is an ad, but that paragraph is about what you need. Um, you want to be really detailed. More detailed, the more better. Um, so already like where it's starting off from. And again, like it hopefully one of the tips that and it's mentioned in some of the other videos is don't just paste it in and just tell the AI agent to go. Like a lot of these tools have plan mode, and I know Lovable has a plan mode. So put it in plan mode, paste in your paragraph, and then it'll come up like, hey, here's like what I'm thinking. And it'll tell you about like what colors it's gonna use and what the tech stack will be, which is like what technologies it will use to like build your website. And that way you could, go back and forth with it, ask questions on like different terms. Or you could just, ask the question in ChatGPT or something like that, and then build it. Um, so yeah.
Take my idea and turn it into a working app. Then I found a job description, copied and pasted it. It provided me with tailored questions. I answered and it gave me feedback. Look at how good this is. And now not only will this tool help you prep for interviews, you can add it to your resume, add it to your LinkedIn, and now you're not just a candidate, you're a builder with one of the most in-demand skills. Try it out for yourself. I just tell myself,
I mean, uh, this is an ad, but it does hit on something of now that a lot of coding is done for you, like not to say that engineers won't be um useful anymore. Because if you build something super, super complicated, it's kind of like letting a robot land the plane for you. It's like who's getting on a plane when it's just like an AI driving it. Um, so you can put it on your resume, but I don't know if you would be. I don't know what job you would be applying for where it would be relevant, but like if you're no one's gonna hire you like if you don't know how to actually look at code. No one's gonna hire you as an engineer just because you built like maybe 30 different websites um, using vibe coding. I don't know. Um, I did see that there is somebody at Lovable where his job title is Lovable. I mean, not Lovable, a vibe coder. But he doesn't like look at any code, but he has like a very dedicated process on how he um uh designs his stuff, um, comes up with requirements. Um, so like that, it does feel like there's gonna be like a new job out of all the jobs that people are losing from AI. There's like a new job of just being a vibe coder, just like a builder of things, and you don't necessarily need to know or even look at code. Um, but I bet even for those people that there are people who are reviewing that person's code, and setting up infrastructure so that someone like this lady or vibe coder, yeah, exactly, people who are just really good at writing prompts. And then um and he spends like 80-90% of his time in plan mode, just going back and forth about the plan and really making sure that the code that's going to output is going to be the right code and you know not blow up once it gets out to the public. But even then, like I would imagine, like there's maybe someone reviewing that person's code. Maybe not. Like some people are just letting it ride, and like I mean, for the most part, unless it's like a privacy issue, a security issue, or a scalability issue, like if the code is not pretty, it doesn't really matter. And the code is going to get better and better um, as time goes on. Um, but uh, but yeah, I mean, this is kind of exactly. Unless you're building like Facebook, like this is exactly kind of like the setup that I would want with people is like, hey, use Lovable, have like a really, specific prompt, like really think about your idea, write it down, put it in there, and just watch it just print you a website in like 10 minutes. Um, it's funny that this is an ad and she's like sponsored and all that stuff, but I mean, it's exactly where I would put And there's other competing websites. You don't have to use Lovable. Uh, Especially she's saying she's spending $300 a month. But I mean, if you're printing out apps, then definitely cheaper than an engineer. But you could always use like Bolt or Replit or any of these other tools. You don't have to use Lovable. They're all kind of. I mean, just try all of them. Try all of them. Um, so yeah, I think we'll wrap it up here. It actually went over. First time. You lose track of time when you're having fun. So yeah, so maybe tomorrow will you look at some of these tools that quote unquote will like help you build apps. I think one was Bolt and one was like Create Anything. So maybe we'll check that out next time. Thank you for sticking around. Again, I'm Alvin Makes Apps, software engineer, turned influencer, I guess, or aspiring influencer, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. We've been looking at TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I haven't posted anything yet, but I will soon. So if you want to drop a follow, I'm on Facebook, Instagram. Right now, I'm live on YouTube. So if you want to subscribe, um, so yeah, subscribe, follow on all the platforms, especially the ones that I'm not currently eligible to go live on because I have 0 followers. Uh, so if you want to see me live on your favorite platform, you gotta hit me with the follow, and then I'll be on there. So yeah, tomorrow same time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, and I'll see y'all in the next one.